Welcome back to the chat. Tomorrow is Veterans Day, and before you reach into your pockets to donate to any organization, there are some steps that you should take to find out exactly where your money will be going. And joining us now to help with those steps, donation defender and generosity expert Sharon Lipinski. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks.
Before we get into this really important information, we have to do something that's also important. Everybody back here loved your shoes, so we had to show her shoes on the air. We have to do that because they're fantastic. Where'd you get those things?
J. Crew.
Oh, really? Was this like this season or previous season?
Previous.
Okay, so
but I baby them. They're my favorite.
Okay, don't you hate that when people say, "I love your shoes. Where'd you get them?" And then they're not made anymore, and you can't find them, but they're gorgeous. Okay, we had to show that. Let's start though with some very important information because we live in a great community. A lot of people donate here to really good causes, and you can't think of a better cause in many people's eyes than donating to our men and women in uniform. But first of all, you say you have to be so conscientious before you pull the trigger. There was a case that happened here recently, and tell us about that and why and what happened with the background in that.
It's a crazy story. So Bobby Thompson was running the U.S. Navy Veterans Association out of Tampa for 8 years. He raised $100 million for veterans, but none of it went to veterans. And when the Tampa Bay Times did an expose on him, he flees the state. He's arrested in Oregon with $1 million in cash, where they discovered that his real name is John Donald Cody, and he's been wanted by the FBI since the late 1980s.
See, so he had this U.S. Navy Veterans Association for like 8 years.
Yes.
Why did it take so long for anyone to realize that this was going on?
Well, there's no oversight on charities, and it's not against the law to waste donations. Donations are wasted all across the country every day. And so it's really incumbent upon the donor to do some work to make sure you're directing your donation to the right charity.
Okay, so what are some steps that you think that we should be taking to ensure that we are making sure our donations are going to a worthy cause?
Well, when you're looking at a veterans charity, anytime there's emotions involved, you have to take extra precautions. Now, with veterans charities in particular, I like to look for charities that have mental health care as either a standalone or with comprehensive economic support, because they don't need just jobs and housing. They also have mental health care challenges. So look for charities that are reestablishing that sense of community and identity and providing mental health care in addition to economic support.
Okay, another thing you say that we really need to be conscientious of, if we see somebody asking for a donation and they're wearing a uniform like what you brought here, you say be wary.
Yes, most people don't know this, but by and large the military does not allow their members to fundraise in uniform because they know that this uniform is an endorsement of the charity. So when you see somebody in uniform asking for donations, be extra cautious, ask extra questions, because you can buy a uniform just like this on eBay for less than $50.
So you say even ask for their military ID.
You can ask for the military ID. Is this a command-sponsored event? But have a conversation and start to get a feel for how legitimate it is. You may find out that it's not a military uniform at all. It might be the American Legion or something like that. But definitely talk and take it seriously.
You also say be conscientious and weary of this, too, when you see the jars and the cash inside.
Yes, cash donations are very risky. These jars, they get lost, they get stolen. You can just take money right out of them. And they can even be fake. There was a guy in Lansing, Michigan, who was putting out fake donate to missing children jars. He was collecting $2,000.
How do people sleep at night doing this sort of thing? How can you do that? Did you put money back in your pocket?
Yes, I did.
We're not going to take it. We're not that bad around here.
It's so easy to do, though. So only donate by check or credit card.
Okay, and then you say there's really a four-step, and we've got about a minute left, four-step approach to...
Four-step approach.
Yes, to making sure that you're vetting the charities.
Yeah, so you want to do a very basic level, then you want to look at their reputation, you want to look at the impact they're having, because if your donation's not having an impact, what's the point? And then you want to look at the financials of the charity. And I break that all down. I've distilled everything that I know. These are the questions that I ask. This is where I look. This is what I look for. And your viewers can download it at my website.
And why don't you give your website real quick so people can get it?
livinggenerouslyeveryday.com.
livinggenerouslyeveryday.com. And also guidestar.org is another
lots
source.
of great resources. And in that guide, I tell you all of the places you can go on the internet to look.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, Sharon.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate you and all that you're doing to make sure that the Americans' hardworking dollars are going to the right places. We'll be right back right after the short break right here on The Chat.